this video, it's part 3 of the series of our videos. Right, in this video we are going to define and see how some keywords are used in Visual Basic. All right, so we have words like public, private, sub, class, and functions. Right, these words are used in Visual Basic differently because they truly do have different meanings. There is public or private. Right, these two are modifiers, but as they are modifiers, they are different in the way in which they operate. Alright, modifiers give the scope of the class, sub, or function. A sub and a function are both subroutines. Some people would like to call them subordinates, as it was as they were called in the older versions of programming. All right, now when you use public, you can take the meaning general, the general meaning of the word public. It means global. Anyone can see this, right? We are in the same country, and a public figure can be seen by anyone. Then a private thing belongs to a single person or just a single family, and it's the same scenario with these words. So when we make use of public in .NET, we say anything that has been defined using the word public will be seen from any subroutine that is within the application. When you say private, this is restricted to one subroutine. It might be one class, it might be one function, it might be one sub. Right, so if you look at the code that we have here, right, we have a class. Right, we have a class here. This is our class, and the class is a form. So simply our form is a class, and within that class we have a private sub. This private sub or button 1 is restricted to the class FP form, right? FP form here. So there is no way you are going to create another class and that class can be able to call this to carry out its operations. Right, now let's go on. Right, we also have the words Byval and Byref. The simple thing is by value and by reference. Where is the difference? Right, by val or by value means that you are passing a copy of a variable. So it's like you are copying. You copy, but the original value will not change. Even if you change the copy, but the copy will not overwrite the original value because it's just a copy. You make a copy and you work with the copy. Right, then by ref, you refer straight to the value within an identifier. or within a variable, right. So by doing so, if you change the value in that identifier or variable, it will change the contents of the original value. Right, let's go on. Now, we can also talk of data types. We're not talking about a constant, we're not talking about a variable. Right, there are things that we call a data type. A field that contains a name of a student and a field that contains the age of a student, those two are different in that one is storing a number and the other is storing letters of the alphabet. So the one that is storing the letters of the alphabet is called a string. It's a string of characters. Right? The one that stores the age is an integer. So this is just a list of some of the data types that we can use. There's boolean, there's byte, there's character, there's date, there's decimal, there's double, and so on. So those are the data types that we use. Right, let's go on. Now let's look at declaring variables. Right, we want to declare variables. What is a variable? Again, if we look at it this way, define the word variable. The word variable simply means something that changes or something that varies, right? So a variable in programming is simply an identifier that changes value during execution. And for us to be able to use these variables in our application or our program, we need to declare. We declare this using the dim statement, right? Then, how is it done? There is a syntax or there is a format. If I say syntax, I simply mean a format, right? Let's look at this. Let's look at this here. There. If you look at that, that's the syntax where we say dim variable name, right? The example of which is below, right here, where it says dim customer, dim new customer. So new customer is the variable name. And remember, we need to, if you leave it like this, .NET takes it by default that the new variable that we defined is an object. So it will give it the data type object. So basically we need to specify data types always as we work on our variables. Right. We can also include specifications for the variable characteristics like the private, the static, shadows, or with event. Say those are some of the ways that we can use to define. Right, let's go on. Right, dim new customer as string. Now this one has we have given it right, if you look at that, we have given it a data type. right? We can also use public static new customer as string, right? Now, if you use it like that, simply substitute the dim statement by public or by private, just like that, then followed by either static, shadow, or with event. Right. So the as clause is used to specify the variable's data type. Dim edge as is what? As an integer. Dim initial as is what? Is car. Car simply means character. C-A-C-H-A-R. Car. It simply means character. Right. Then let's go on to the constant. Right. There are some other times, or before we go to the constant, there are other times where we have a variable containing an initial value. How do we do it? You assign a value to it. Simply say customer, new customer is equal to John. As simple as that. Right? So we use the equal sign, but the equal sign in this instance we'll be calling it an assignment sign. So let's go on. To declare a constant, this is just the opposite of a variable. We said variable changes, constant doesn't change. Right? So an identifier that doesn't change value during execution is referred to as a constant. A question might be as, write a declaration that includes an access specifier using the constant keyword, which is just the const keyword, and an expression. Public constant as integer 360. Indeed. Right, so the simple thing, the public is the specifier. The private, right, here is also the specifier, right? Private const days in a year as integer 365. So we are just assigning that value 365, which means that value will not change no matter what you do. The value of days in a year will not change, but it will be called from any module, from any subordinate in the application. Private const work days as integer. Work days as integer is going to be assigned 250, so it means 250 no matter what. But the difference between these two statements is that the days in a year is accessed from any point within the program. The work days will only be accessed in the module that it is defined. Right. You can also define without even giving what do we call it, a specifier, just using the const clause. So you just say const a as integer equal 10, right, without private or public. This will also work. Right. If we look at this statement here, what do we have here? Not the other one. Where is it? There. right, there is this word here, click, and there's another click there. Let's look at what are these called. It's called a click event. Right? An event is just a signal that informs the program what to do. There is hover over, there is click, there is right click, there is left click. There are a number of events that we have in .NET. So these are there to give instructions to the program. They're just there for communication purposes. So what do we do with this instruction? If you click, it clicks, it will behave when clicked. If it's given a move over, you move your mouse over a certain point within the displayed screen, and action is taken. So that's why we call them events. Right, now we have done this. Let's look at an example. Right, so what I want you to do, at least you are looking at this, you open my first project, right? Then into my first project, let's add another button. After adding another button, you double click on it. Right, then the private sub and the end sub will be displayed. Then you write the code within there. Then after the end sub, you type in private sub increment variable by value a as integer, right? A is equal to a plus 1, then end sub. That one is a subroutine, right? That is not within our pattern, right? But it will be called because it's in the same class. The same class, which is the form that we defined. You'll see the code because I have it already typed. So let's go and see the code, and I will explain the code. This is the code. All right, let's go back to the form so that I show you. Right, I added this button. I went to the properties. I changed this to the text to add, right? Then I double clicked, came here, then typed just this code here, just that code here. Right, after typing this code, because the private sub and the end sub will come automatically. Right, now in this code I defined my variable a, which is an integer. Then I assigned an initial value 10 to it. Then this the close call is used to call functions or subroutines. So my subroutine here is called increment variable, and the argument, the a in brackets, is called an argument. That's the one that is going to take the value. When you say Byref, it is the one that is going to bring the value. When we say by value, it's again the same that is going to bring the value. That's where the copy is going to be placed. So after typing here, I'll come after this. I'll skip this, then the next line. All right, let me do something here so that you see, because I'll just cut this off. Right, which means when I complete typing here, you see, if I remove that, there is something there. It has been underlined. It's now an error because there is no increment variable subroutine. So after I type here, if I press enter, it will go there. Then that's where I'm going to type these statements, right? After doing this, you see our error has disappeared. So this is the simple way we do it. Right, now let's change here. We want to start by value first. Right, and we said, remember, by value, it will not change because it's just a copy. Right, let's just dry run. At the moment, A is equal to 10. Right, then we call this. We call by value, which simply means a copy of A is taken to this side. A copy of A is taken to this subroutine. Right, so if a copy of A is taken to this subroutine, which the value of A here is what? 10. Then plus 1, what's the answer? 11. Right, then we go back there. That's where it's going to be displayed. Right, so when we do that, what will be the answer? The answer will be simply 10 because we used by value. It was a copy, not the actual value. Right, let's run to prove that. Okay, I'll click on add. It's 10. Right, because we only copied the value, we didn't move the value. Let's close and go back. Just want to see the difference between by value and Byref. Right, let's change this to Byref. Right, this time the value is going to change to 11. Right, let's check it. We run. We click add. Bingo. I think you have noticed the difference between by value and Byref. You need to research more on these and how we use them, but the simple thing is what we have done. So please keep practicing. Programming needs people that practice. Right, don't forget again to subscribe to the channel, promote the channel so that more will come and will benefit a lot of us. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.